Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to a bit of a windy and dark winter's morning on Eiersholt. We are finally back to the episodes here on the farm. We're on the new version that has been released on the Giants ModHub, and that also means we've got a whole bunch of new mods installed to make the most of the map. But I have managed to bring over most of the things. So as the sun is slowly creeping its way up, we're just gonna wait till we get a little bit more light, and then I'm gonna show you quickly around the farm to see what is different. I've got all the same machines as before, but we'll see in just a second once we have enough light to be able to see a bit more around the farm. So here we go. It's coming up to 8:45 in the morning. I think, given that we're now getting a bit of a snow flurry here, that this might be just about as good as the light's going to get anytime soon. So I think we better get cracking. We're going to jump into our truck here, and we're going to take a little look around the farm. So if you have already been following this series, you'll sort of be familiar with the fact that I've run about 40 episodes here on Eiersholt. If you're brand new, one of the new subscribers that showed up recently, welcome. Welcome to the Eiersholt series. We are starting off on a farm that I've been running for close to a year in real time on a previous version of Eiersholt. And we are now onto the same version as has been released on Giants ModHub. So first of all, we're over here by the pigs. Obviously one of the changes for the new version is that we got the big CCM bin here. I did transport over my pig feed that I had mixed in my old save game. In here, in our big yellow shed, we got our massy telehandler. I had to approximate how many potatoes I actually had in here because I didn't have an exact number, and I didn't want to try and start transferring stuff that needed like density height maps. I only transferred stuff by editing in XML. So there's probably a little bit less than there was before, but there's still quite a lot of potatoes in here from our previous harvest sitting waiting for us, in part to get fed to pigs, but in part probably also to perhaps get sold, or maybe we can do something else with them. So I'm gonna hop back in the car because it's down to -2 now, and rather than having to walk around, I'd rather drive around. Coming down the back here, there's 2 new silage bunkers on Eiersholt. The new set basically got plunked down where I used to have a GrassTech system dryer for drying grass to hay. So instead, I have now gone for this multi-dryer, which will also take in clover and alfalfa. I put in about 600,000 here. I'm pretty sure we had closer to 1 million liters before, but this seemed reasonable enough, and it's full of hay now. We will need some because we're going to be mainly checking out the animals today, trying to figure out how to manage them under the whole new forage extension mod that we got in. If you look into the lower right hand corner, you will also notice that I've got the REA, or Added Realism mod, added to it. I may come to regret that. We'll see if our tractors are powerful enough, how much we get stuck. But we're going to give it a shot at least, see if there's anything. So over here at the silages, in sort of the last episode and the last save game on the previous version, I did have a little bit of grass, like 200,000 liters of grass silage left. I didn't put that back in because, again, this is something that's adjusted with the height maps, and I didn't want to start messing with them since there are so many new fruit types. However, over here I did have about 800,000 liters, so I put this in as whole crop silage, and right now, because I kind of had to put it back in and compact it down, this one is still fermenting, so we can't use it right away. However, I did manage to transfer over. We have basically 499,000 liters of TMR sitting here. We had that in the previous version as well. I transferred over the exact amounts that was in there, so we should be okay on that account. In terms of animals, I should have, touch wood, managed to transfer everything in their current state. So we will have milk producing cows. One of the things that I kind of really didn't like the idea of was having to kind of go back to a whole year of the cows not producing any milk after the time and effort we already spent on them. Up here I have a straw shed. I think in the last save game it was a little bit closer up to here, perhaps. I moved it down a little bit, mainly to try and sort of smooth out the road a little bit. We ended up having a little bit of a bump the last time. This seems to work a little bit smoother, but we have the same number of bales in there as we did before. So that side of things is all good. I already got the snowplow hooked up to a tractor down in the yard, so if it starts lying, we are ready to go. We might just need to fill a little bit of salt into the machine, but apart from that, that is kind of it. So, apart from that, I don't think there is a massive amount of change. Obviously, we have some slightly different silos here, but that's not a problem. I'm going to be using the realistic seeder, so we're not going to be using the seed silo so much. But we will still use the fertilizer and lime, of course, and anything for the sprayer. The chickens are in the house there. The house has obviously changed, but they're still, I think we have 100 odd chicken. Yeah, we have 118 now. They've already started laying more eggs, so that's brilliant. Truck's still parked over there if we're going to be selling some more grain. I got grain transported over and distributed, so no problems on that account. So the first couple of episodes here on the new version, there'll be a few things I need to get familiar with in terms of the added realism mod, and definitely also the whole horse extension Maizeplus mod. But that's kind of our mini tour. I've reinstated all of the fields to as close as I could get. The state, I think the only difference was that field 29, sort of just up at the top of the farm, was left to stubble after we harvested corn in quite late autumn on it. And I put it onto a cultivated texture simply because we didn't have time to do anything with it, but I couldn't really put it back to stubble directly like that. So I changed it like that, and that's really the only thing. All the other fields that we put down quite a lot of oilseed radish cover crop on fields, so that side of things should be okay. But the main thing now is to take a walk in this brisk wind and cold. I wonder if this snow is going to start lying down soon, but we're going to walk up and get into the old Massey Ferguson. I am going to make a change right away here in the morning before any of our animal situations get too drastic. I am going to be selling our food mixer. That might sound counterintuitive because we got all these new categories, but because we have a feed mixer on the farm, there's a new kind of trailer that I want to try out instead. One of the Roland trailers. That's a kind of belt feeder instead that will still take our TMR and drop it off in the stable in a way that looks kind of decent. So I want to try that out instead. I was having some issues with the mixer wagon here, that when I load TMR into it, then the ratios are ever so slightly off, but I think there's a fix for that basically right around the corner. But we don't need to mix it right now. We have it sitting ready at the farm. So first things first, it's 9:30 in the morning, so the dealership will be open. I have forgot I'm running REA already, so we're not exactly out of here like a shot, are we, with this big heavy trailer? I hope we can pull the new one up the hill here as we'll be heading back from the store. But otherwise, we'll find out in a bit. I'm gonna head down and I'll see you down in the stall in just a bit. Oh yes, we're driving down. As you can see, we also got the REA thing that makes the water puddles. So obviously low-lying land is going to be more affected. We are going to see some puddles in corners like that, and we might find it more difficult to, well, get seeding done or generally handling those parts of the field. But I think that's quite a good challenge as well, and it might mean that we need to beef up horsepower on some of our tractors, use twin tires a bit more, but I think that's okay. We'll see how it goes. So we're almost at the shop. Money-wise, we are basically at the same as we were before. Before starting this episode, I did pick up some sugar beet to be able to feed our chickens. So I put that into our silo. So the money is a little bit lower than what it was at the end of the last episode. But we're here. I'll get this feed mixer reversed up. We'll probably need to deduct up here a little bit for service of it first. It has been running a fair bit. But we'll see what we can get for it. So we actually got 57,000, almost 58,000 back for that. That's pretty good, because I'm pretty sure that the new machine we're going to pick up, we'll just drive over. I'm being lazy here, but we'll drive over so we can talk to them in the store and see if we can pick up the new trailer here. So there we go. Just about 14,000 euro for the new trailer. So we actually made money. That wasn't really the intention here, but I thought I would try this out. So this is the Roland DAV 14, and we've got this feeder belt right here. But apart from that, I don't know if I can. We've got a display for the amount in here, but as you can see, there's no actual mixing capacity in it because we don't really need that. So it requires less horsepower, and overall. Oh, now I jumped inside. Overall, I think this will actually do us quite well on the farm, and it should prevent me from trying to mess up any of the feed mixes right away. We might go back to a mixing wagon when we get a lot more familiar with all aspects of the horse extension. But for now, I think this will do us using the feed mixers that we have on the farm. It will definitely take TMR. I haven't actually checked whether it will work for pig feed as well. That would be quite nice if it did. But I'm not sure whether it will or not. But we'll take it up to the farm. We'll give it a spin, see how that works out. Because today, generally, I need to check up on the animals, make sure they're okay, because obviously everything has changed in terms of how we feed our animals. So productivity is likely going to be falling right now, because with the horse extension, the Maizeplus forage extension and so forth, we're in the situation where there's typically about 4 categories for each animal, and each one of those categories will count for a certain amount of productivity. So the days where you just tip in TMR and then they just eat the TMR and don't touch any other food category, they're over. All categories are going to be going down at a rate, and each category is going to contribute to the productivity, and that frankly makes a whole lot more sense. So I'm really excited. I'm also slightly scared because obviously I have helped out with testing the development of this Eiersholt version, and I know that, you know, several times during the testing, several of us ended up sort of banging our head against the table because it is quite complex to an extent. You especially when you then also add seasons into the mix, when it comes to, in particular, when it comes to all the different grass types and stuff like that. But I think we should manage. I think I got a grip on it now. But oh boy, REA is kicking in and we are slowing down. I'm glad we don't have anything in this trailer. We're already down to 14 kilometers now and there's a bit to go in this field. So I think I'll just see you back at the farm. I should get there eventually. There we go. We made it up the hill, and we're kind of back at the cow farm. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go through the animals. I'm not going to go through all of them at once, because that's just going to be too much. So we're going to start with the cows. We're going to try and get them up and sorted as much as we can, and then we'll deal with the pigs afterwards, and then we'll have a look at the chickens as well. So here we are looking at the cows. I got all of our cows back. We got 98 of them, quite a few young ones, but obviously also some more established. The stable's frightfully dirty, and we need to now clean out manure rather than food from the center aisle. Water's okay, I got the plumbing in, so we can fill that up. We need to add some straw. In terms of feed, as you can see, we have 4 categories there, and we got feed in 3 of them. Those 3 are the ones that will fill up when we add TMR in. That will help add all of those, but we need to add hay or alfalfa hay or hay pellets into the feed as well to get them up in productivity. We actually have quite a lot of milk sitting, 28,000, 28,000 liters. So what I'm going to try and do first, I think this wagon will also accept hay. So I'm going to take it down to our new drying plant. We got some liters sitting down there, and I'll see if I can pick up hay with this. Otherwise we can find a different way of doing it. And then we'll top off with a little bit of TMR from the mixer. And then we'll need to get this stable cleaned out. I'll show you how to do that. And obviously, last but not least, we'll also need to get some straw back in. So we better get cracking. So now we are just going to come in and see if this trailer is going to fill up with hay. Looks like it. Yes, excellent. So you can see the display counter running up there, so we should have room for 14,000 in this trailer. That's a pretty good amount actually, and I like the size of this. This is something that I can get into pretty much any stable on the farm. So this feels quite nice. It's a little bit smaller, obviously. We're at 23,000 liters in the other mixer, but I quite like this. It doesn't feel as heavy because once the other mixer wagon was running here on the old Massey Ferguson, she was struggling a bit. So now we just need to bring this hay up to the cow stable here, and then we'll start seeing production pick up, because we're basically filling in a category of feed that had gone empty here. So this should help further on our milk production. That is good. So here we go. Now I just need to check. I need to open the screen because so it's tipping to the right already. So that is absolutely fine. We can start putting some hay in. And oh, was that it? Let me just check on the feed panel for the cows. That was it indeed. It only needed 2,400 liters. Ah. What am I going to do with this hay now? Crikey, that takes up a lot of space. And just as I started untipping, I realized that if I had half a brain, I could have tipped it into a TMR mixer down there instead, because that needs hay as well. But oh well, we have it now. We have it ready. I think some of the bit at the front of the shed there might actually rot away. But next part we are going to try is to get some TMR loaded up into our trailer here for these cows. Let's see now, total mixed ration. There we go. We probably also don't need 14,000, but I know I can tip TMR back into that feed mixer, so I'm slightly less concerned about that in a way. So now we got our TMR from the mixer, and we're going to take that into the cow stable here. So as you can see, we got the trigger coming up for TMR. Just before I start unloading, I'm just going to show the screen again. So as you can see, we are pretty full in the whole crop silage and maize silage category. And in the hay is almost full, that's the one we just filled up. And the fresh grass category. And then we got a little bit of room down in the grass and alfalfa silage. So now we are gonna run the feeder here. And then we are gonna basically see how much it takes. And then we're just gonna check back on those feed categories to confirm that they're all filling up like they should be with the TMR here. Well, that's the shame. Okay, there we go. I think I am full now. We still got 9,500 liters left, but let's just check that feed category again now. And there we go. So now we actually are full on all 4 categories. So while this whole forage extension seems a bit daunting because there are so many feed types, right now we can actually manage with TMR and hay. That will fill things up, and obviously as we get into spring and grass starts growing, our fresh grass category should fill up from seasons from feeding outside. So the next bits we need to do is to deal with the cleanliness, and I'm just going to hop out here and hop over. So as you can see, we now got manure lying at the back of here. That is where the dirt or lack of cleanliness is now coming from. There's no food lying up here in the center aisle like there used to be here on Eiersholt. So what we're going to need is we're going to need our manure grab, and we're going to have to scoop up what's lying there to get cleanliness back, and then we need straw in as well. So I just hopped down to our yellow shed because I'm picking up the telehandler. It's starting to look really beaten up, this thing. It has done a lot of hours for us, and it is in good condition. I did have it serviced not that long ago, so from that perspective we're absolutely fine. It's just that it's looking pretty worn. Now I'll have to try and remember where I left a manure fork, whether it was down here at the pigs or whether it was up at the cows. Right, so I've had a good route around, and well, it seems like pretty much the only casualty in terms of machinery was our manure fork. We have our bale one sitting over here. I did upgrade the CSZ pack, so I'm thinking that it might be that that got lost in translation. So I have bought a new one. We're gonna have to head down to the shop. We're gonna go down anyway because we also now have the manure system fully integrated, and although we don't need them right away, I need to pick up some hoses so we'll be able to pump over. So since we have to go down for that fork, I reckon we can hop in the truck. We can put on our little flatbed trailer here, and we can get them to dump the fork onto it, and we can pick up those hoses, hopefully at the same time, without everything falling off. And the landscape does look really quite beautiful here at winter as well, all covered in snow. So the field in our left is one of ours. You can see the oilseed rape cover crop standing on that one. So we're going to be quite busy as soon as we're out of winter in terms of groundwork, because we've got quite a few fields with cover crop, but it all obviously means we do get that fertilizer step out of it as well. So from that perspective, I think it'll be worth it. The seeds for cover crop were not terribly expensive. We are also running the updated version of the realistic seeds, so we should have seeds for virtually everything now. Before we had some issues with the alfalfa where we had to use generic seed, but virtually everything on Eiersholt should now be covered by custom seed types, so we'll have to purchase those in and try and calculate how much we need for each field when that time comes. But we have arrived back at the shop and see the manure fork is sitting ready for us. I think in the grand scheme of things, losing one manure fork in the transition between versions. If that's all that happens, then I'm going to be quite happy. But we're going to pick up these hoses as well. Okay, we are loaded up. So I got 3 hoses. One is just an extension one, and the 2 others are regular manure hoses. I wasn't quite sure whether with the extension one we need to couple a normal one at either end. I don't think we actually need to, so I might have bought one too many, but it's not the end of the world. They weren't terribly expensive. And then rather precariously balanced here, oh, we can actually strap it down. We have our manure fork, so we can actually get on with sorting out the cows. Finally, we are back on the farm, and we can get our manure fork sorted out so we can get these cows cleaned out. Right, we have a manure fork again. To be honest, the old one was very worn. Who knows, it might still be hiding somewhere on the farm where I just didn't find it. But in which case we'll have 2. But I don't think so. I couldn't see it anywhere. I couldn't see it in our garage overview. So I think that one's a lost cause. But that's not the end of the world. But now we come to the bit where we are going to see how much manure. Obviously, right now the cows are pretty low here, or well, pretty high on manure. I don't think it's like they're dropping a massive amount necessarily. Need to see how much of it I'm capturing here. I need to just level off a little bit more. There we go. That's a bit better. Now we are kind of probably digging in a little bit too much, but scraping the bottom of those nice new tines on our manure fork along the concrete floor here. But it looks like we're gonna manage it all in a load. So there we have the cleanliness of the cows taken care of. Okay, there's a tiny bit left there, but on the grand scheme of things, this will do for now. And this manure, of course, can be dropped into our pit to begin with. As you can see, it's filling fairly rapidly here, so there is a bit to do. So we now have the manure sorted. Need to give them some water as well. I'll hop over and do that right away. Ideally, if we have time today, I'll try and make it down with a run of milk as well. But right now, just wanna turn on the help screen. Yeah, water is running in, so that's all good. So I think there was 1 bale left in here. Yeah, 98 liters. That's not really very much. But what we're going to do is we're going to pull over near the straw shed here. And then because we have the telehandler up here, we might as well use the telehandler to load up on bales if we can. So this big Confor straw blower, it's quite handy because you can lower the sides down and it can take a total of 8 bales at the same time. We have one sitting there with not very much in, so I'm thinking actually what I want to try and do is just show you quickly with the telehandler, drop off the manure fork, pick up the bale fork. What we're going to do is we're going to take that sort of almost empty one off, because I want to show you where you can also drop bales directly in for straw for the cows. You can do the same down at the pigs, but there's actually a sign telling you where to do it. But here on the cows, you kind of just have to go in on the grading area, and it may be that not everybody is aware of that straight off the bat. So I'll see if I can grab hold of this one here. There's only 98 liters left in it, so it's not really worth keeping in the straw blower anyway. So we need that gate open again so we can get in and put this bale down. So straw blower, you would just use the central aisle where we ran the feed down. But for bales to work, we need to come in here and onto the grating here. And if I drop that there, as you can see, it disappeared right away. There was only 98 liters in it, so it's not really going to make any visual difference right now. But you can unload bales there, and if you, unlike me, try not to get your bale fork hooked on the roof, then that's actually quite a handy thing to be able to do, either, you know, if you're in a hurry, or if you don't have a straw blower, you don't want to run a straw blower, then you can do it that way instead. I guess it would be more natural to do with round bales, which you can kind of cut open and roll out, but for now we are gonna get some bales loaded up into the straw blower here, and then we'll get on with getting the cows completely filled up so they have proper bedding. We got close to 32,000 liters sitting here now in the straw blower, and if everything goes well, we'll fold up the sides and they slide in, and we can finally get our cows and pigs some straw, because there should be enough for both in here. But we'll just get turned around and head down to the cow stable to begin with. So just like before, obviously as we blow straw into the cows here, they will produce manure rather than slurry over the winter period here. I think that's kind of okay. So that's our cows full up on straw. I don't think we even used a whole bale, perhaps. I did get a little glitch where it seemed like the tractor was sliding a bit, so I'll have to keep an eye on that and see if there's a conflict with this particular mod. But that is finally at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We have now taken care of the cows, and we can start paying attention to the pigs instead, which will be more or less the final thing we do in this episode because it's taken so long. So we'll take a quick look at their feed screen. So as we can see, we have they need some water, they need cleaning up as well. We need some straw dropped off down there for sure, and then in terms of food, they got some in 3 categories, and the last one is fresh grass or clover, or fresh maize or clover silage, which we don't have right now. So we might not be able to maintain them at anything but the 75% health that we're seeing there. But actually, I think that's okay, because they were producing like crazy. We're up to 478 pigs anyway, so we're going to have to probably sell some off at some point anyway. So I'm not too concerned about the fact, but obviously we have seeded clover on one of the fields, and we'll be keeping that obviously for pig feed for the coming year, so we can maintain good pig production here on the farm. But first we'll try and get down and see if we can get some straw unloaded for the pigs as well. Let's get the door open. I think we need a bit of light on in here, don't we? Seems dark these winter days, so I think it'll be nicer to do this. And then obviously we'll also need to try and get some feed in, and a little bit like the cows, I spilled a bit of straw last time, but as you can see, we now have manure, but we have it on 2 sides in the pig stable, so we're going to have to come in and clean this up, which is fine. That seems in many ways more realistic, although we don't obviously have to clear out 100% of the manure. So we'll see if we can get a bit of straw in for the pigs here. So best laid plans. I'm having a problem with the straw blower. Maybe it doesn't like winter. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but for some reason it is reading as it's empty. So somehow it doesn't want to, I don't know, recognize the bales in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unload a couple, and then we're gonna use, we have a pallet fork, and what we can do is we got the straw bale area here for the pigs. So we're gonna get some straw in to them that way instead. Right. So we got 3 bales here. I reckon that should be enough. It might even be a bit too much, but we can leave the last one lying in the bedding area. But much like at the cows, we basically just bring the bales in, and thankfully we're able to do that. I don't know why that straw blower is acting up right now. I will obviously have a look, see if there's a mod conflict or an issue with it. Worst case, we'll have to swap it out for a different model. But I kind of like this one because it was for square bales in many ways. But as you can see, we are getting straws bedding in for the pigs, and this shouldn't take too long. So I just want to see if this machine accepts pig food or not. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the day. If it does, it's fantastic, because then we obviously have another tool, but it doesn't look like, it's not even registering on this trigger here. So I would say that's a pretty solid no. But that would have been nice, actually. I wouldn't even have minded buying 2 of them, having 1 for pig food. I might have to look at, might be possible to modify it to accept pig food as well. So we got our trusty old massey telehandler. We got a manure fork. We can get the pigs cleaned out, and then we can get them topped up on what feed we can for now, which is perfectly adequate to keep them ticking in over winter. And well, it's going to take a while before we're going to have the clover to feed them properly, but we'll see how we get on. So with the manure cleaning out of the way, just going to tip that off, and then we'll get our regular shovel, and we'll see if we can unload some pig feed that way, and just get them topped up. They're not like near starvation or anything like that, but we want to make sure we stay on top of it. Let's get our shovel filled up, and then we'll take that into the stable now. Oh, I closed the doors, that was a bit silly. Get the doors open, and actually while I'm here, I'll run the water as well, just to make sure we're getting filled up in here. So pig food should be like before. We just tip it down the center aisle here. That's why I thought it would have been nice if the Roland mixer had worked, so it would be more like we were putting it into the troughs along the sides there. But yeah, I'll have a look and see if it's possible to modify it or something like that. I don't know. But for now, we've unloaded some pig food, and we'll just take a look at what the food state is now. So as we can see, we're filling up the categories, at least the wheat, barley, corn, and the soybeans, canola, that has gone up. I think they must have. Yeah, they have. I didn't see potatoes really go up there, but tell you what, we have a shed full of potatoes, so why don't we just go and get a bunch? I just want to see how much. Let's see, 240. So it's not actually going to be very many potatoes that are needed. Not a whole shovel full here, but we'll put our root crop bucket on, and then we'll drop off a few potatoes, just see if we can get them a bit more balanced in the diet and maintain the 75% productivity at least. So we'll just top a bit in here. It's going to be less than half of this. And there we go. So now we got the potato category full up as well. So that's pretty good. The rest of these we can chuck into the mixer. We've still got plenty sitting in the shed for sure. Because I think we're kind of starting to run out of time here. We've been going at it for a while to feed these animals. I think that's okay. It is a new version. There's a lot that has changed. So I'm quite happy with the fact that we did actually manage, albeit with a bit of toing and froing, to get our sort of main animals on the farm here fed. They look happy. They got a bit of straw sitting there spare. And we brought in our sort of new feeding wagon. I like it. I just wish it would take pig food as well. But apart from that, I really like it. I think it's a really nice model for bringing in and out of the stables. So I'm running up here because we got our pickup truck parked up here with some hoses on. We got those today as well. I think I'm just going to leave them on the trailer for now. We will need them come springtime. We got a lot of slurry sitting around, both at the pigs and at the cows. We got our large Samson slurry spreader, so that will definitely be out and working, probably again with the John Deere 8R pulling it. But we also have our class tractor that will definitely be able to pull it as well. But obviously with the new REA mod, we might see things having to work a little bit harder than they previously had for some of the tools. I am sliding a little bit here though. But we're just going to get this parked up for now. In the next episode, we are going to be looking at making a bit of a land investment. I have my eye on a piece of land that will allow us to open up a little bit of logging again, not necessarily a humongous amount of it. And it's also perhaps going to offer us some opportunity for generating a bit of income from the manure. So we'll see how that goes in the next episode. But today was a little bit of trial and error on the whole animal feed. I hope you don't mind. Here in the first episode in a long time on Eiersholt, I'm just really happy to be back. But thank you everybody. I should say a thank you to new subscribers as well, because there's been quite an uptick in subscribers over the last couple of months, and I'm really happy you're here. I'm also really happy that my existing subscribers from before, the ones that were there from the early days, are still here. I appreciate you all very much hanging around and commenting on videos. It means a lot. I enjoy making them, but it's obviously nice to know that somebody else is watching them and enjoying them too. But with a bit of a snowy view here from Eiersholt, it's starting to get dark again, and it's only 4:30. Well, that's winter for you. We will be coming into midwinter in the next episode. But for now, it's thank you very much from Overcore Gaming, and see you again soon.